Hey everyone, this is Ole Sharanki from Laddering Your Success, and you're listening to the LYS podcast.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome one and all to Edge of Steps, the online mentoring podcast powered by Laddering Your Success. I'm Ole Sharanki, co-founder of Laddering Your Success, and I'm honored as always to be joined by my fellow co-founder and LYS creator, Festus Samoye. Festus, how are you doing today?
Man, doing really well. All things considered, man. Sometimes we can say, "Oh, I'm doing bad. I'm doing this," and the problems you have today are usually the result of the things that you prayed for and the actions that you've taken. And so you should not focus on the problems, but the fact that you are blessed. And yeah, man, and just roll with it. So I'm blessed, man, and yeah, taking it, just gonna take advantage of it. That's all. Taking advantage of it.
I hear you, man. That makes perfect sense. When you said all things considered, you reminded me of. Are you familiar with that NPR show called All Things Considered?
Not really, but I think I've heard it before, or like somebody play it before, but not
Yeah.
like you know
Yeah, my
what.
dad used to listen to it a lot. So as soon as you said that, it just like went back. And I like to do the NPRs. They always sound so smooth. It's like smooth talk radio.
They
Yeah,
are. Yeah.
this is all things considered. Oh man, this is wild me out, man. These wild me out. Well, folks, let's get right into it. Today we're going to be talking about something that we talked about a while ago, and we brought up the question. Well, it wasn't a question; it was a statement, and the statement was the kids are not all right. Right. And it was in regards to after COVID, a lot of districts, states, and, federal institutions, what have you, started to talk about the how behind students were during COVID. A lot of students did not go to school at all. So that means a lot of students just did not get education. They were missing out on education. They were missing out on classes. A lot of students did come to class, but class was on a laptop, class was on your phone. And a lot of parents weren't really there to help their children, help their students focus, stay in class, finish work, all those different things. So what we had is we had a situation where many students did not get access or the true type of education that they were supposed to have. Because of that, a lot of students fell behind. I believe it was somewhere between 2 to 3 grade levels when all was said and done. A lot of students fell behind because of COVID. Unfortunately, that was already a precipitating issue. Students were already falling behind. Teachers were already overwhelmed. Specialists were already overwhelmed. Districts were pulled. They were restrained by things like budgets and manpower, teacher power to be able to effectively teach students. So, what COVID really did was make a bad problem worse. That's one of the things a lot of people fail to realize. They think that, oh, COVID is the cause of all of this. No, it's been a problem for a while. COVID just made the problem worse. It made it so worse that the issue is now apparent. When you hear about companies like Chick-fil-A having trouble training new employees because they're not able to find the same quality of candidate of young person to come in and to follow or to take the values that Chick-fil-A promises to deliver to give those to customers, it now becomes an issue, right? You'll see people making, videos or people will be complaining Chick-fil-A isn't the same. They're not saying my pleasure, all the things that you come to know. And not just Chick-fil-A, many of the industries and the companies that we uh, tend to love, we're starting to see the effects of those things as those children enter the workforce. And so, what I wanted to go over today is I wanted to discuss the role of technology, in particular, social media, and how that affects our young people. Okay. Festus, did you have any opening thoughts based off of anything I said regarding
Well,
that?
I think number one, you laid it out really well. You know what I mean? Like the problem, the history behind the problem, like what it is we're actually seeing and facing. And I think the thing that I think challenges all of us is like anybody who's actually really dealt with a problem that's like almost an addiction, is admitting that you have a problem. And I think where we're at now is many of those who are in traditional institutional education are still yet willing to really convey how bad that problem is. You know what I mean? And so when you look at social media, you see now where, you have different people who are willing to build their own companies or their own curriculum. Homeschooling has taken off. Homeschooling has risen. I read one article, 300%,
Mm.
particularly among African Americans. And so, it used to be that if somebody wanted to homeschool their child, they were, something was abnormal about that person. Well, now when you look at things today, that's not necessarily the case. The case is you love your child so much, you're pulling them from the district. Well, if you pull that child from the district, then that generally takes away money from the district, which then creates a snowball effect because you're anticipating so many children per educator, per support staff, per book you order, it goes on and on. And I think when you look at social media, it really is almost like continuous gasoline on this bad issue because again, I'm seeing posts and posters and pictures, come to our district, we're the best or we're a good district, da da da. And it's like, wait a second, you know, and I'll just use one example, and this is just speaking honestly. I believe HISD was missing 30,000 students during COVID. They couldn't find them. Nobody's ever brought up where the solution is. Did they find the kids? Did they, you know what I mean? 30,000 students just disappeared from your rolls. Couldn't call them, couldn't, knock on doors, find out where they, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, yeah, they've tried, you know what I mean? But that level of absenteeism also shows the disengagement from your institution. So then when you put up a poster, we're the best district around, it's like I don't think if you didn't solve that problem, I don't think so. And so this is where, social media is like gasoline because now you have kids who are pretty much raised and educated entirely by social media. And everybody knows social media is short form, clickety content, which a lot of it is just untrue. And so, when you got these kids who aspire to obtain things, you know, get things done in life, and it's like, well, they grew up entirely on social media. I think we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg in terms of the problem. You know what I mean? Like right now, we're seeing those kids who are entering the workforce who at the time were 16, 17, 14, 15, 16, 17 when COVID hit and beyond that. You know what I'm saying? Well, now think about, that next generation that's coming up where it's like day, we're trying to apply solutions that might not really be there, and you grew up and your whole education was social media. Still can't sit in the classroom. Still can't pay attention for more than 30 seconds, 45 seconds. You know what I mean? I think we have a big, big, big challenge on our hands. So, like I said, you laid out the problem really well, and thanks for that.
Yes. And so one thing I want us to remember is we are eventually going to get to social media. I want us to get there and I want us to discuss that. I was just kind of taking some notes as you were talking. And some of the things that I thought about was, I'll go to Chipotle, I'll go to Chick-fil-A. Well, not Chick-fil-A, but I'll go to Chipotle or I'll go to just a restaurant or a shop around me, near me. And I'm sure you've seen this. The person who's taking your order, even sometimes when you go to the grocery store, they'll have an AirPod in their ear. Or when you go to the Aldi, they'll have their cell phone kind of out in the open. And when we talk about the power of addiction, I think that's probably the most common one. And it's so funny, as we advance in technology, as we advance over the years, right, as we move along, what I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed this as well, Festus, trends go and they move fast. So, if you looked at trends like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, so say the 20th century when we were born, as kids like to tease us for, trends would take around 30 to 40 years for you to really see their impact. These days, it seems like you can see impact like 5 to 10 years. Like you can just see how use of mobile apps skyrockets, right? 5 to 10 years. You look from the advent of Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. Well, sorry, Facebook. Well, if we go from Facebook, that's about 20 years, right around the time we graduated, 2004. So it's 20 years, right? So that's almost half the time, from last century, where you're able to see these huge skyrocketing trends and things. And it's just like the same principles that we always talk about.
Hey, LYS fam, it's Ole. Just wanted to take a quick break to let you know that even though the cost of college can be daunting, the LYS Scholarship Guide ebook can assist you in realizing your dreams. You can identify and apply for scholarships using the information, advice, and resources in our comprehensive guide. Also, we've provided a template for a successful scholarship essay to help you stand out from the crowd. Don't allow student loan debt to control you. Get your copy of the LYS Scholarship Guide ebook right away to take charge of your destiny. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to that fire conversation.
There's always good and bad. When the World Wide Web was first introduced in the 90s, right, early to mid 90s, I remember Netscape. I remember the first iteration of Yahoo in big red letters. It was this unique thing.
You remember the commercial?
I was thinking about that sound yesterday, bro. Exactly, man. eBay. Buying something on eBay was just the most unique thing, an auction style, method of doing something. And you just think about how it's transferred all of those things, Web 3.0, all these things that are in the gamut. And you understand the benefits, right? Because we have a more easily accessible world that we live in. We're able to interact with the world at the drop of a dime. WhatsApp is the number one way to communicate internationally, it seems. So there are so many positives, but just like any new amazing advancement in society and technology, there are going to be the negatives. And unfortunately, we're so reactive. And we see the main crux or the main issue right in front of our faces, But for whatever reason, no one ever, let me not say no one in a place of true authority says what we all think or what we all know. It's almost like this fear of still trying to manage the masses, right? Go ahead, Festus. You want to say something? Go ahead, man.
You've seen it in my face. Well, I think the thing is, at the end of the day, we also have to realize that these people in authority profit,
Mm,
right? And so it's hard to condemn something that you benefit from.
mm,
And I used to have this other saying that I would say people defend what they love.
mm,
And so it's interesting because when you sit down and particularly about the social media issue, they had hearings, and the hearings were about the effects of social media on teenagers and young people, and how the rates of suicide have gone up amongst young people based off the use of social media. And essentially in these hearings, they demanded that Mark Zuckerberg apologize, because to the family there who was talking about how their how social media had affected, I think, the eventual suicide of their child. And they were like, "Are you going to apologize?" And they're like, "Yeah, but what changes have been made?" And and see, this is fascinating to me because speaking of a recent case here of a certain blank hub website, and the state saying, "Hey, we want to make sure kids can't get access to this," and then you see adults complaining about children having access to blank hub. To me, that goes to show the state of the adults. So I don't blame any of this on the youth and children.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because the thing is, there are certain people who they are CEOs of these companies who benefit from these things. They don't let their children use it. They don't. And so while they don't let their children use it, they are okay with the arguments of others, like, "Oh, well, that's just a social argument. We don't get involved in that." When the reality is you profit off of it. That's why you want you probably have some bot or some agent or some, you know, nefarious, disgusting personage that wants to prey on certain people. That's why they're like, they should be able to look at that. 10 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old. And a lot of people just totally neglect the data that comes from it. And so this is why, to me, again, people say, "Oh no, it's just about, you're a prude or you're this or that." And it's like, no, people aren't making educated decisions. They're making totally emotional, opinionated decisions.
Yeah.
And the thing is, unfortunately, because you're not using your brain, it really can't even be a decision. You're literally just going based off your feelings. And so the thing that you accept now, 10 years from now, can be a massive issue in a person's life.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And can take hours and hours and thousands of hours of therapy to try to resolve.
Yeah.
So anyway, I I'm obviously very passionate about this, and I feel really bad again for the kids,
Yeah.
for the kids, because they don't know what they're about to go through.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can see some of the adults going through it, and they're not exactly sure where it came from. And so they're like, do I how do I trust, who do I trust? And that's, I think, a big part of the problem. So yeah.
Sure. For sure. Yeah, man. So many good points there. It's I always have to get over myself because
Mm,
you mentioned those in authority, and how essentially what you were saying is their value, they don't, even though they may have certain values, they don't truly live by those values. Or, like what I think with a lot of people happens, I learned this a couple of years ago. It's a really good lesson is if you have set values, you will never compromise. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, right? They struggle with when the dollars and cents conversation starts to happen and folks in authority have to make a decision, they're going to do what's best for dollars and cents. Sometimes that's your own pocket. Sometimes that's the pockets of those who kind of put you in power, that sort of thing. And it's really unfortunate because it goes to what you said, when they asked the Zuckerbergs, when they asked the CEOs of TikTok and a lot of these different companies, right? Does your child use this? You would either hear no, or they would say yes. And if they do, it's very well controlled.
Very sparingly, yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess we can jump in and start having this social media conversation. And I'm going to preface it with a funny story. I was watching a TikTok. It was either a TikTok or an Instagram reel. And it was a young man, I believe. I've seen two or three actually, with folks around my age talking. There were millennials talking to Gen Zers, telling them why they don't look good. They said millennials look so much better than Gen Zers. Gen Zers their faces look just, they just look older. And yeah. And I started to think, I wonder what, because you got to remember, Gen Zers are the first generation, I believe, to be born with social media, if I'm not mistaken. That was the first generation.
The digital natives that they were entirely in social media. You know what I mean?
Entirely in it, right? Yeah.
Not like it came up. Yeah. No. I think not like it came up 10 years or 5 years after that.
Like us. You're kind of like,
yeah.
So, and I didn't get to do a lot of research, but I had a chance to do a little bit of research. And it kind of goes to your point, Festus, where you've got 6-year-olds doing makeup tutorials, right? Makeup industry is like multi-billion dollar industry. And you've got a 6-year-old who I'm going to talk like a teacher now. You can tell me the types of blushes. You can tell me about this. Let me see what's in the mascara. You can tell me about the shade that works best for this spring or this whatever. But if I give you an order of operations question, you may freak out. If I ask you to add these two fractions, you know what I'm saying? We're going to have some problems. You know what I mean? Not to say that all of them can't do that, but what I'm saying is the priorities are kind of switched. And I remember a young lady, shout out to Nancy, quick shout out to Nancy. We were there at the career discovery event yesterday at Houston Community College, A-Leaf, really great. And there was a young lady that was talking. And and it makes me happy when people bring up these books or these articles or these themes. And she said, "Are you all familiar with the adultification of children?" And I just started smiling. I was like, okay, what she got? What she gonna talk?
Oh my goodness! Whose kid is this?
She was like a college. I think she was like a college student, maybe recent college graduate. Yeah.
Whose man is this?
Yeah. Exactly, man. So she's going in a little bit on the adultification of children, and it was really, I was really happy to hear her talk about that. But then I also thought about, for whatever reason, I thought about the 1920s. You remember the 1920s, early 1900s, before they started putting in those child labor laws, and you would see kids. You would see them kids working in the coal mines. They'd be like 6 years old, and kids coming and smoking. He's like 6. He's like, "Mom, where's my soup? Where's supper?" And had a hard 12 at the coal mine there. And for whatever reason, I kind of went back. I don't know why I went back to that. And I just thought about how cyclical we are. We can't help ourselves but to be cyclical. Even if whether we like it or not, we can't help it. because there are some mirrors to that. Now, not necessarily, I won't say the kids are working, but they're drained. I'll say their energy. Let's use it that way, right? LYS describes money as minted energy, right? Their energy is being drained by like all of these things. And I think the key thing here is, and I'm gonna shut up so you can talk, Festus. These young people aren't being given that chance to be kids. Go ahead, Festus. Yeah. That's yeah,
Well,
yeah,
well,
here it
no,
is.
I think to your point is that this is the part that's interesting. I think this is the part that's really interesting is that when you look at childhood, right? Most kids, if you were to go back 200 years, if you were to go back, you know, 300 years, most kids they had to work. So their education was in line with their work. So it was basically, hey, your dad's a chimney sweep. You're hopping in the chimney with your dad. You know, your dad's a farmer. You're doing whatever dad does as a farmer. Let's say, for example, your dad's not there, and basically you would have to go out and make it on your own. And so, or help mom out. Mom might be washing clothes and you're just going out and helping her wash clothes. Like, for example, if you watch the movie Ray, which that shows how dated we are, whereas a movie about Ray Charles, for those who don't know who Ray Charles is, you have to do this stuff nowadays. But Ray Charles is one of the most famous African American pianists because, similar to Stevie Wonder, he was blind as a youth and played multiple instruments, particularly the piano. And his mother was a clothes washer, and that was the income. They lived in basically a one room shack, and so she ended up sending him to a school for the blind, where he learned certain skills and eventually took his love for music and the piano and the heightened auditory sense that he got, and ended up becoming a master musician, playing all over the world. And so, you know, you look at that that kind of pigeonholing of like, okay, your life is basically just life is lifing, you know what I mean? And forcing you into this space early in life. Well, you fast forward and you look at, you know, the 19, you know, really 40s, 50s, and 60s. And you start to get a little bit more modern society where in childhood and adolescence, they get a chance to pretty much be a kid. They get a chance to play in the playground. They get a chance to have toys. They get a chance to, all of these things that we would associate with childhood today. You know what I mean? And now you have kind of this grotesque kind of milieu of forcing adulthood on kids or forcing adult things on kids, right? And then them being kind of prepared for work and all those different types of things. You know what I mean? So it's like, because I'm not against anybody working young personally. I
Mhm.
know some people say, "Oh man, you child labor laws," and I'm like, no, I think it's actually good for kids to work younger because you start to find out things about yourself, about work. It's actually, and to be honest, in my opinion, it's pretty bad to just study until you're in your 20s, mid 20s. Think about, you go to school from 4, you graduate at 25, and you haven't done any type of work. I think that's actually really bad, in my opinion. Why? Because by the time you enter the workforce, the person who maybe had the summer job, had the internship, the person who cut lawns, the person who washed cars, the person who had the power washing business, all of those people are up on you 10 years of experience. They understand what it means to start a job and finish a job. And then here you go, what? I got to go in this building for 8 hours And that's what a lot of people are fighting today when it comes to work from home and all that stuff. It's funny because, again, I was looking at a resume, and this was the first line. I'm passionate about a remote work experience. I was laughing. I was laughing. Not I'm a passionate person about this industry. Not I'm a passionate person about science. Not I'm a passionate person about learning. It was like about a remote work job. You know how many people are going to just click past that? Because what that says is you don't want to be here. And so, I don't want to go off onto that tangent too much, but I'm just kind of painting the picture about youth and what they're going through in terms of not getting the work skills, right, to understand how to do a job and deliver a job early in life. And so, to me, I think if you could get small odd job around 10 years old, 11 years old, it's something I even do with my boys. I kind of joke with them. They're 5 and 6 now, but I'll say, hey, you got a job with daddy. It might be cleaning some equipment. It might be doing something that, now we just start teaching them. I start teaching them how to mow the lawn, and that's their extra job. And I'll say, oh, you got to negotiate with me. How much you want for this job? Oh, that job ain't worth that. And so to just kind of get them in the mindset of understanding negotiation, understanding what a job is worth and what it costs, and different types of things like that. Because if you don't, you go out in the marketplace and people say, well, how come this person's getting paid more than me? Well, they got negotiation skills. They actually sat there and researched what that job makes and what their skill set brings to the table. They have a portfolio that they brought to the table. You're just showing up and saying, okay, give me what you could give me. And you know what I'm saying? You're kind of clueless.
Yeah.
And so this is where I think, again, and I'm sorry for the long diatribe, but I think like when it comes to the adultification of kids, supposed to happen, but the way it happened matters. You know what I mean? Because whatever a kid doesn't get, whatever the young person doesn't get when they're a child, they're going to be missing as an adult. You have to start ingraining things in children and youth early so that they could be well-formed adults.
Hey LYS fam, it's Ole once again. These days, many families are busy but want personalized attention. We at Laddering Your Success understand this dilemma and have created a unique approach to help guide you and your child with personal development tools to build a life of purpose. This intimate approach is helpful for those parents that feel the need to have a focused heart-to-heart conversation deciding on the next steps after high school. We provide individual post-secondary planning, virtual customized college and career counseling, and scholarship guidance and planning. Our one-on-one sessions are tailored to each individual student to maximize their potential in the post-secondary realm. With our guidance, your child will be able to make their dreams a reality. Don't wait. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to business on this podcast.
I believe it was. Oh my goodness, I can see his face. Frederick Douglass, who said, "It's better to train children than to try to fix broken men." You know what I mean? And so, I'll kind of cap right there. Hopefully, I laid out the idea pretty well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the main thing that you said that I really held on to was it is gosh, I had it and then it just ran away. It's not necessarily the adultification of children is good. It's just how you go about doing it, right? And I think that's powerful. One of the themes that I kept thinking about as I was thinking about this topic is the importance of parents, right? And it kind of goes back to something that you mentioned earlier. You said that a lot of parents, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe, a lot of parents just aren't truly informed. A lot of parents are not truly informed, and a lot of parents don't know how to just have these conversations. And then I thought about another powerful thing that you said. Whatever you were missing as a child, you're going to be lacking as an adult, right? And so I think about this generation is a very interesting generation. And I mean that in the nice way. I don't want people to be like, when I say generation, I don't mean Gen Alpha, Gen Z, Gen Millennial. I mean the generations that are alive right now. The generations that are alive right now. You have people alive right now who are coming to a certain level of a certain age of understanding and knowledge, and they're seeing those who came before them, and they're saying, man, I've got an opportunity here. I feel like this is not the way we should be going. There's something. I need to be someone who fixes this, and this happens all the time, but it's just such a unique, you know I, I guess because I'm older now, I can just see it. You can see the person who's like, man, my mom came from El Salvador. My mom came from Honduras, this, that. My mom came from Ghana. And I'm trying to be this person. I'm trying to do this to do this. You got a lot of people who are trying to fix these broken lines and try to make a straight line. So for those who come after them. And so, one of the thoughts I had was just an average kid growing up and the parent giving them a tablet, right? And I'm trying to think of what that was when we were growing up. I don't even know what the equivalent of that was when we were coming up. Because you couldn't take it with you. It may have been a
Yeah.
toy, it may have been a particular toy or something that that you kind of. But you understand what I'm trying to get at, like
No,
the
I totally, I'm with you. I'm with you.
the because, and here's the thing: if used properly, technology, social media, all of those things can be so powerful. And this is the thing I keep hearing, but I haven't been able to validate or confirm is, if you go to the countries, if you go to Taiwan, if you go to China, and you go to TikTok, and as a child, the feed and the things that you're able to see are more geared towards, I guess, things that would be more appropriate, more age appropriate things for a kid, right? More educational content, more personal development, more skill building kind of things. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's true. So until I can validate or confirm that, that's just what they say. But I
Say,
just feel like, there are so many things that parents can do to really help their kids get in a lot of that really hardy educational, stuff that they need to learn. And so I see that, but then I also see a mom giving her kid like their phone with TikTok, their feed. And the kid is just going and getting exposed. So it's like, and it goes to a conversation that we always have where, and once again, this is where I pray for patience, because it's the question of, how do you tell a parent that they suck at parenting? You don't do that, because everyone has their own situation, everyone has these things that are going through. But how do you present with them the impact of what they're doing, and how it can potentially affect their child, right?
man, you bring up I think one of the most golden points right now,
Mm.
and that is the point of desire.
Hey LYS fam, it's Ole. Thanks so much for listening to LYS. I just wanted to take a quick moment to talk to the parents. That's right, mom and dad. Parents, prepare your child for their best educational fit after high school with our comprehensive LYS Parents Guidebook. Our helpful guide includes a range of activities designed to help you better understand your child's unique gifts and abilities. Additionally, we provide valuable insights into the student loan debt crisis and offer practical tips on how to avoid accumulating large amounts of debt. Our ebook also includes a wealth of information on scholarships, grants, and payment exemptions that can help guide your child towards a bright and successful future. With our expert guidance, you can rest assured that your child is well prepared to make informed decisions about their education and career path. Don't let your child's future be in jeopardy. Invest in their future today by downloading the LYS Parents Guidebook. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to the show, because it's some good topics.
Ooh.
See, one of the things that really got me just studying psychology, studying general. But one of the things that really got me was this whole point of like desire, our longings and our wantings that we have. And when you go into that rabbit hole about like they used to have terms for those things that for most of the modern language today, I don't see at all. So they used to have things called they used to call it a bent. They used to say proclivities. They used to say appetites. They used to say your vice and your virtue. They used
Hmm.
to say all these different types of terms that kind of labeled the internal longings that people had towards particular things.
Huh.
And you don't see that as much anymore. And I think one of the reasons you don't see that anymore is because the common mantra now is happiness. Do what makes you happy. So because people are so wrapped up in this do whatever makes you happy, they 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 never really studied these terms and these concepts, which when you look at do what make you happy, what that really boils down to is hedonism.
Mm-hmm.
So, I say hedonism and everybody, huh? What's that? You know what I'm saying? Now I'm gonna get canceled for using big words or whatever. I don't know, hedonism is a big word. But anyway, so you because people don't understand these things and there's these assumptions. One of the assumptions is that everybody is good and everybody means well, right? But you could actually mean well and do a lot of harm. There are a lot of well-meaning people who are hurting people and they don't know it because they mean well.
Yeah.
You got and there's a number of examples of this where you see from a policy standpoint. I don't want to get political, but you see certain policies being in place because people quote unquote mean well. And I get it. It's difficult as a human being. Like, for example, you know, why are there so much more police in low income neighborhoods than in high income neighborhoods? Well, the majority of crime happens in low income neighborhoods. And people say, "Oh, well, that's not true. Why would you say that?" Well, part of the thing is you have population density. So in a lower income neighborhood where you have more people, even if you have, a crime that occurs, you know, among every 10,000 people. Let's say a robbery happens, you know, one time amongst every 10,000 people. Well, if you have a neighborhood with 50,000 people, you're going to end up having 5 robberies. If you have a neighborhood with 1,000 people, you have 1 robbery. So it's just a population density issue. You see what I'm saying? But then when it gets convoluted and, you throw in race and you throw in class and you throw in, all of these different factors,
Yeah.
it's a very hard problem.
Yeah.
And because people don't really want to look at things with an open mind, is I've watched the TikTok on this. I could solve it in 30 seconds. You know what I mean? You,
Facts.
yeah, yeah. It's just it gets to where you can't really get to honest solutions. And
Facts.
so this is where I think we need more creativity. But I also see a problem there where people are trying to solve problems, but there's so many people. I got a solution. I got an answer. I got a solution. I got an answer. That it's
Mhm.
hard to get through the noise and say, okay, well, what makes your solution better than that one, or what better than what we've been doing? And
That's
so,
mhm.
yeah. So I'll cap right there. I'll cap right there.
No, man, that's so powerful. You mentioned it because what I think it also does is, you gave the example of someone scrolling, right, watching the TikTok, and they're so embraced. They're just so pumped up by this video, and they scroll, and it's a completely different thing about dogs being abused, and then they get so pumped up about the dogs and the cats, and then they scroll another one. They've already forgotten about the population density and the crime one, right? It's already changed to something new now. So, you don't even get a chance to really delve in and understand these issues. And man, it's really powerful, what you just said as well, because I'll tell you this: I've been to a couple of, like, in Houston we have these super neighborhoods, and I'll go to these super neighborhood meetings, and I will say, as of recently, the ones that I go to, they've been pretty packed, but it's like this lack of people taking ownership of where they live, and just understanding what's going on around them. And I think that's kind of what happens with social media. It's very easy for you to forget. I think the issue was you forgot the world out of you, and now it's almost like the opposite thing happening, where it's like everything is closed into you because you can just look here to experience outside instead of actually going outside. you know and I think that there's a part of me that makes me feel like, man, they just trying to what do you call it, distract you. They're just trying to distract you with all this stuff, man. We're getting distracted with a lot of these things. Real quick, he came in on the right time, which is the best time, which is his time. The one, the only THB. That guy, that man. All right. Daniel Hill, how you doing today, sir?
Hashtag always be. No, no, I'm good, man. How y'all boys doing? What's up, Ole? What's up, Festus? I mean, Ola Inca. What's up, Festus?
Well, doing well.
Man, we're having
Oh, my bad, King Festus. I'm sorry about that. I see the crown there about your name.
That's true. That is that King Festus and Agrippa, right?
Boy, I actually just read that today.
Shoot, when I read it, I was like, man, my name in here. I guess the name I got wasn't it. But anyway, yeah. Good to see you, bro.
Oh, good. So, what's the topic again? My bad for being late. I had to clear the mind. Had to go run some errand, do something real quick.
No worries, man. We're talking about social media and its effect on young people, and then we kind of just opened it up from there, just talking about how parents get affected by it, the negative effects, some of the positives of social media and things, but how it can affect kids negatively,
Yeah.
things that are happening generationally with
Okay.
the kids we have right now, the Gen Zs, the Gen Alphas, and what are some things that we can do to really help these young folks navigate as they move forward, man. You got any thoughts on that?
I like what you said, man. What you just said. That's interesting because it's like, well, one good thing. Shout out, you know what I'm saying? LYS. That's one good thing for social media. You already know somebody need to come in here and get the scholarships and get that thing and get in these programs over here. A bad thing, man, is whoever gets out first, that's the side people take. That, bro. Because, man, you can even talk to like my niece or somebody like that, or whoever, like, how the stuff in Israel and Palestine stuff was out first. So the young people took their side. Now the other stuff coming out, now people going the other side. It's like if you only watch one person, then you're gonna stick with that ideology. If you don't look at both, like I told people, man, one time, bro, I got tired. I had to watch CNN, then I had to go watch Fox, then I had to go watch MSNBC. And I used to be like, bro, you know what? Let me forget this. Let me just go straight to the Senate hearing. Let me see what actually happened. And I'm like, oh, both of them lying, bro. Both of them. Oh, so man, go ahead, Festus. You better say something.
That's big facts. I did doing the same thing.
Bro, man, it would get you. I was like, bro, these people, because I'd be like, man, it don't sound right. Because I remember somebody said, I never forget. They was talking about, man, I go here because they're not biased. And I be thinking, bro, everybody's biased about something. Like, I'm a Christian. I'm going to be biased about Christianity. Somebody Muslim about Muslim. If you watch, it be tripping me out. They be like, I don't watch him, he biased. But at the end, that person will tell you to go vote a Democrat or vote a Republican. Bro, he's biased. Like, it's like I've literally probably only saw maybe one person who might not be biased. It's this Asian dude who was a tax person, and all he does is tell what people actually said during the meetings and go about his day. So, but no, that's some good. It's like y'all educational purposes, but then there's sometimes bad educational purpose because you got people knowing people need help, and since they got more money to promote, they'll promote. Oh, come buy my services. but it'd be straight trash. And you'd be like, man, just because they got $1,000 or $10,000 to spend one time to help scam 100,000 people, then you got somebody just like a regular group like y'all growing with the truth, might not have much. Their stuff will overpower the good stuff, man. So that's something bad. But a new law came out, I think in Florida, they banning minors, right?
Yeah, man, and it's
Technically.
interesting that it's good that you brought that up because we're talking about a different ban that Texas did on a blank hub site, but in Florida, yeah, they basically, if you're 14 or under, you can no longer join social media without parents' permission. And to me, I mean, eventually, what does that boil down to? Yeah, it boils down to clicking that you're 14 and up. You know what I mean? But at least there's some barrier where you know what I mean, some sense of accountability where it's like, and this is the thing, when you look at a lot of advertising, it's actually aimed at that 14-year-old age group.
Yeah.
And so at least now companies have to think, okay, when I run this ad, how does it look? So thank you for bringing that up, Daniel.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. So I don't know. I was trying to figure out, and that blank hub thing too. That's interesting too because they was like, somebody was talking about the other day. They was like, that stops people from even trying because you got to put in your whole information. And I was like, bro, somebody is. I was like, man, you know what? A lot of people won't do it because it'd be like that time when it was a dating site and the dating site got hacked, and that person put everybody's information out there, and it was a general.
Ashley Madison or something like that.
Yeah, bros. They was like, nope. So now people, it's good because it's stopping them. But I wonder how this block's gonna work with the 14 and under. Because if it's anything like the like the site to go buy liquor, like, are you 21 and up? Yes.
Yes. Yeah. But again, it's one of those things that and unfortunately, this is where I could see how things are going the way that they're going. Because some people are advocating for having to upload your ID to certain to access any sites, so we could really tell it's you, or what I mean, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
to me, I'm not really down for that. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I can see how and why it's going there because you got the fake bots, you got I mean, especially now with AI, there's gonna be whole everything just AI.
Yeah.
Gazillion. And so to me, those are some things that we just have some challenges ahead of us, man.
Yeah. That's real because just thinking about that, like one way I had to be AI. It's crazy. It's real simple too. The way I had to be AI, like we make a form on Google Forms, Google Forms, and the AI would click it and just fill out the form. Like people using bots, fill form. The way you could beat it, bro, it's simple. It's like because the AI couldn't read the picture. So what happened is I would put up numbers, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And what happened is they would have to type in exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, and the bot can read the stuff, but it can't read the picture. So I could only get real what's name. But some of these people, bro, you do an ad on Facebook, it's all bots, bro. Clicking them links, bro, and you wasting money. And you're like, man, this is trash. But now we're gonna see in the future, man, because stuff is getting serious. Stuff is getting real serious now here, especially with the election coming.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm reminded, y'all mentioned the thing in Florida, and there's a quote, man, it was Miles Monroe, and he said, if your values, and I'm paraphrasing, essentially he said, if your values don't take ownership, if your values cannot help you take care of your own household, take care of yourself, other people will make laws for you to do so. And those laws may not be what they put in, may not be what you necessarily need or like. And so that's kind of what it reminds me of. It was so funny. I posted this on my little thing on Instagram. Tony Danza. Y'all remember Tony Danza from Who's the Boss?
Yeah. Who's the Boss? Yeah.
Tony Danza was on, I guess it was some show called The Talk or something like that. And it was really powerful. Yeah, maybe, yeah, one of those daytime talk shows. And he was just talking about the kids, man. And you could tell he was really passionate, man. He was hurting. He was hurting like we hurt. And he was just talking about how, man, he said, you remember back in the day in the 70s and the 80s, we used to have like this television. It was like, I can't remember what he called it, but I guess it was like this primetime television just dedicated to like family.
Oh, you talking about TGIF?
Well, yeah, but even before TGIF,
Oh,
he
okay.
was saying it was just like, and I kind of remember this. Well, we kind of had it. We kind of had it because I remember. Is that a blue jay? Oh, man, I think that's a blue jay. Sorry, I just seen a blue jay on my screen behind me. I turned around to look at it. But
This boy got HDHD for real.
no,
ADHD.
well, but he mentioned, y'all remember the after school specials?
Yeah.
After school specials, and it
was always in
really
detention,
powerful
so.
stories. Yeah, about like, teenage pregnancy, teenage alcoholism, drug abuse, drug use, all these things. So it was really, really cool. Well, yeah, because he was talking about, a sad kind of situation, but he was just talking about how we used to have these things in place. It was like, no matter as bad as the issues were, we would have those things. Family, this is the thing they used to do. Family go out night. What was that thing called? Where you was almost forced to go to your neighbor's house?
Family night out.
Family night out, right? They had these things. But as we slowly start to see the breakdown of the nuclear family, single family homes or single parent family homes start to increase, it's like it goes back to what I had said. If you don't have if your values don't deem what is best, someone's going to put something in, whether you like it or you don't like it. And that's just kind of what it reminded me of there.
That's facts. Because somebody will put up, like, the new thing is the objective truth. Somebody put something like that.
So, obviously we're having these talks. We want to give parents resources. So we're going to give a couple resources. Just going to throw some out there. So if you're actually watching this on YouTube, passIton.com. It used to be Foundation for a Better Life. I think it still is Foundation for a Better Life, but they have various PSAs, public service announcements, that they used to run, and these used to be, back in the day, as we were talking about, these used to be those things where they just talked about kindness and goodness and just things that are wholesome to just like encourage, I guess you could say positivity in the community, and another one is commonsense.org. So commonsense.org, and look on their homepage. Most technology wasn't built with kids in mind, right? And so, they have media, common sense education, and so they just have different resources where basically they're just helping educate parents, educate families on how to, again, have better tech accountability, digital literacy and citizenship, and those different types of things. And I think that's the thing that everybody has to be careful about is like, even as you go on these sites, understand that everybody has bents and biases. I prefer, at least when somebody's honest with me about their bent and bias, so I know. You know what I mean? I'm not against, nobody can be biased. Nobody can have an opinion that doesn't resonate with. No, I'm not, I think if we're gonna be honest with ourselves, at least just be honest about what your bent or your bias is. And if you want to have a conversation about how that bent or bias then affects the relationship, great. So, so again, these resources, we're not just saying, hey, you need to go with everything they tell you, but we're saying there are resources available for parents. There are resources available for students to kind of, again, have better dialogue on these things. So we just want to throw that out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Festus. So I do believe that's going to be it. Great episode here. Thank you so much for joining us on this latest episode of EduSteps. Keep following, Keep subscribing on YouTube, laddering your success. Sorry. I'm sorry. What's the Instagram, Festus?
BNoDo_LYS.
BNoDo_LYS. LYS_students for students.
Or just LYS students.
LYS students.
And LYS parents.
LYS parents. Just keep following, keep liking. You can always find this on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe for more videos. For THB, to him be, for that guy, Daniel Hill, I'm Ole Sharanki. Festus, go ahead and get your phrase it pays, my good sir.
Listen, there are legitimate excuses for not going to college. There's no legitimate excuse for not getting an education. We're going to see you on the next episode. All right.
Oh, you still there? Well, thank you so much for listening to the LYS podcast.